What's way more dangerous than most people think? Driving tired, sleepy. Bites from other human beings are actually really dangerous due to infection rates. A friend bit me once. I turn into her every full moon. People know that rip currents are dangerous, but don't think about them as a real threat often enough. I'm from Florida. My whole entire life I was taught to swim parallel to shore when stuck in a rip current. They teach it in schools. There are commercials about it. The signs say it. You'd think it would be ingrained. But what does my grown ass do the first time I got sucked into a rip current? Panicked my ass off and almost drowned. Towing a stuck car with a chain, there is a list of people who have died from having the chain come through the back window and kill them. If there's one thing I'll always stress, it's a real tow rope. Endless uses, not that expensive, you'll probably only ever need to buy one, they won't smash your skull in if they break. And put some weight in the middle, a simple jacket will do. That way, in case the rope does snap, shit can still happen, the small weight gives just enough momentum to send the energy down, so it will hit the ground or your legs. Your legs will still shatter, but way better than your ribcage or your face. Listening to loud music using earbuds, or really any headphones. Having permanent hearing damage sucks. Attempting to change garage door springs without knowing what you're doing can kill you. Moose. Bigger threat to people up here than bears. Edit, clarification by, up here, I mean Canada. Another clarification, we have a lot of moose and not a lot of grizzly bears. The more common bears, black bears, while still shouldn't be provoked, are a lot smaller and more timid than grizzlies. Not to mention everyone knows to be afraid of bears. They're large carnivores. Most people don't know to be afraid of moose. Hitting a moose with your car is pretty well a guaranteed fatality, but it's also highly underestimated how dangerous these things can be on their own. They can be around the same height as a transport truck and have a nasty temper if you decide to bug one. Being knocked unconscious. Lots of popular media makes it seem like a minor thing that an average person can shrug off after a short period. In reality, if you are ever knocked out, then you have suffered brain damage. It's possible there might not be any lasting effects, but it's a serious injury and you 100% need to see a doctor if it ever happens to you. Doing nothing for a long period of time. It gets addictive and it's the hardest thing ever to get back on your feet. Eating a lot of spinach. Believe it or not, people have had kidney failure from 3 spinach smoothies in a day. This is due to the high levels of oxalic acid. Blocking your nose when you sneeze. Though it's rare, you can damage blood vessels in your eyes and nose, you can rupture your eardrum, and you can even have an aneurysm. Okay, I'll stop doing that. A kind of random one, but don't eat uncooked slugs or snails. They can have parasites that will make you paralyzed and eventually kill you. An Australian kid died a couple of years ago from it, an awful way to go. Awful way to escargot. I think I'm safe from this one. Driving, like you see the statistics of car crash deaths, but I don't think you ever truly realize how dangerous it is to simply drive somewhere since it is such a routine thing. Life on the road would be safer if 5-year mandatory retests were a thing, and not just for seniors. I don't know where you are, but the quality of the tests in California are a joke. My 85-year-old grandmother, who answered completely incorrectly on the vision test and is now suffering from dementia, was given her license. Not wearing sunblock. Living alone. If you get seriously injured or ill at home and you're unable to reach a phone, your chances of survival are much lower than if you have at least one other person in the household. Anything under tension can be dangerous. Guitar strings hold around 200 pounds of tension. A game of tug-of-war can put thousands of pounds of tension into a rope. It's even been known to kill people. Here's a list. True story: as a 14-year-old I played a game of tug-of-war with a large number of people and the rope snapped and whipped back and hit me, leaving me with 3 fractures in my hands. 3 surgeries and lots of PT later. I'm happy to report no nerve damage, but I'm never playing that game again. Misinformation. Deep cuts on your fingertips. They're called felons and can infect your bloodstream. Clean them out, and if you see a red line traveling up your arm, get yourself to the ER immediately. My neighbor almost died from this when she cut her finger on her violin string. Edit, removed my advice about changing tires. My main point was don't go under your car if the tire's off without a jackstand, but that should be obvious. Palm trees. They are so much heavier than they look and their branches can kinda just fall off without warning. Hiking in Arizona heat. Grand Canyon too. You can go down a lot quicker than up. We hiked R2R in the Grand Canyon about 10 years ago, North Kaibab to Bright Angel. We were stopping to rest at Cottonwood Campground. The next water station was broken and 2 R2R hikers coming the opposite way had to be given saline intravenously at the medic hut. There was no posting about the water being out. Thankful with the knowledge that our next planned water source was gone, we were able to load up extra before heading out after our rest. I drank 9 liters of water that day and only peed once. ETA, wow, this blew up. I'll try to respond to all questions. As a disclaimer, please do not attempt R2R unless you're a seriously experienced hiker. My husband and I have years of backcountry hiking experience and ultralight gear, and it's still in our top 3 toughest hikes we've done. Walking down stairs with your hands in your pockets. Never ever do it, especially not drunk. A fall down even 1 or 2 stairs with no hands to catch you can break your neck. I've seen a video of a man tripping and falling down 4 stairs, hitting the top of his head on the wall and dying right there in the stairwell. Newts. Many newts, such as the rough-skinned newt, produce a toxin that is 10 times more potent than cyanide. They are only dangerous if you handle them and then don't wash your hands afterwards, or if you eat the newt. There have been multiple reports over the years of someone eating a newt as part of a hazing ritual for a college fraternity, and then dying. The toxin that some newts produce can kill you inside of 15 minutes because the toxins block the sodium receptors in your nerves, essentially stopping your brain from communicating with your heart. Scary stuff. TLDR, if you handle a newt, wash your hands. And never put a newt in your mouth or you will die. Edit, did not think this would blow up this much. Thank you to the Redditors that provided so much information about tetrodotoxin. To see it in action, check out this video from Nat Geo. A lot of household chemicals. Mix the wrong stuff and it's game over. Our seriously hurt. Ammonia and bleach is a common one, I think. I used far too much ammonia last time I was cleaning and I thought I was going to pass out. Ammonia is not great to inhale. Save it for deep cleaning like the stove top and then leave the house for a few hours. Otherwise you're better off using all-purpose cleaners or white vinegar. Also don't mix vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. Edit, you can do so but just be aware that you will create peracetic acid. Peracetic acid is a pretty good cleaner and sterilizer. Lower concentrations like you'd get from household-strength chemicals aren't that dangerous. Ventilate a bit and keep it out of your eyes and you're fine. Nowhere near as nasty as bleach and ammonia. Cat bites. Electricity. People seem to have little understanding or respect for it. Texting while driving. Put your fucking phone away, you fuck. Shit, reading all of this and wondering how am I alive, and still have teeth. BBQing indoors. Edit, I'd like to expand to running generators indoors, too. Blunt kitchen knives. It may seem obvious but they're more dangerous than sharp kitchen knives. A falling knife doesn't have a handle. Let it fall and step away. Holding a sneeze in. There have been cases of ruptured brain aneurysms and throats, as well as collapsed lungs. No recorded deaths though, according to the good old Google. Edit, thank you for the cake day, wishes you wonderful people. Edit 2, grammar. Hiking in the woods with earpieces even in a suburban area. It seems innocent enough, but not being fully aware of your environment can lead you to not notice snakes or coyotes. Living beyond your means. Always having to leverage assets and become financially overextended in order to have things here and now. Mosquitoes. My friend slipped in the bathroom whilst trying to catch a mosquito and hit his head hard on corner of the sink, spent 2 weeks in a coma after that. I bet the mosquito must have felt like a champion. Rescuing a drowning person. Drowning people are completing panicked, with one goal, which is to get to air immediately, and they will climb on top of people in their blind panic and fear with little to no thought as long as they can keep their head above water. There have been stories of young children drowning their older siblings and parents as the kid climb on top of their parents' heads and submerge them underwater. Rescuing a drowning person is no joke, and if you yourself a poor swimmer and/or not trained in water rescue, do not attempt rescue. Your safety is top priority. Instead, immediately call emergency services and try to either extend something out for the person to grab onto, like a pool noodle, pool net pole, branch etc., or throw something that floats at the person for them to grab onto. A life jacket PFD is the best, but pool noodle, kickboard, floaty, open cooler, esky lids work. If you are trained in water rescue, then you should already know that if you don't need to get into the water, then don't. Remember call, reach, extend, throw, row, swim, in that order. And always assess the conditions of the water before going in. If the water is too murky, the current is too strong, there is too many in water hazards like logs or rocks, again, don't attempt rescue. It sounds horrific to think about, but always thinum of numero uno, and rescue teams would much rather only rescue one person than two people. If you do decide to jump into attempt rescue, then you should always tske something that floats with you so you can hand it off to the drownee before they grab onto you. Edit to add, I have already put this in another comment, seeing as some people may nave skipped because they are commenting about how to punch someone in the face to knock them out. No. Hitting someone until they are knocked out may once have been a legitimate technique taught to those training to be lifeguards. It is no longer taught, has not been for years now, and is actively discouraged. If there is anyone out there that thinks they can attempt in water rescue, here is what you do, copied and pasted from my other comments. This story actually raises a good point. How do you approach a drowning person? I have heard from too many people, I have been told to knock them out. Like slap them or hit them. While your husband did what he had to do to rescue his friend, this idea that you need to knock a drowning person out is incredibly outdated, not to mention highly unsafe, not just for the drowning person but yourself as well. First off, if you are close enough to hit a drowning person, you're close enough to be grabbed by them. Remember, a drowning person will latch onto anything that even appears to be floating to keep their head above water, that includes a person trying to rescue them. Remember, a drowning person is not thinking clearly, they are panicked and struggling for air. They will grab you and potentially pull you under to achieve a fresh gulp of air. As mentioned in my op, if you are going to save someone from drowning, you should ideally bring something that floats with you, but really it could be anything that the drownee can hold onto. Maybe don't bring a heavy bleed anchor or dumbbell with you though. I got taught even a t-shirt or shoe can sometimes suffice, anything to create a barrier between you and the drownee. As you approach the drownee, position your body so you are sorta upright, with one hand holding the floating up extended towards the drownee, shouting out, grab the float. I can help, grab the float. Hopefully the drownee does grab the float, but if they so happen to go to grab you or your arm instead, immediately go onto your back, feet towards the drownee and kick hard away. You may have to repeat this process a number of times, even when the drownee tires themselves out. What happens if the victim does grab you and starts to pull you under? Suck, tuck, and exhale down. Bring them down underwater with you. Sound like the opposite of what you should do? Remember the drowning person's goal, to get air. They can't do that underwater, so if you are taking them with you, they're going to let of you. Kick away again. Ideally, if you can, try to get behind them. They can't grab you from behind. In one forceful motion, tuck your arms under their shoulders, armpits, raise your hips up and lock your knees around their hips. Tylenol. About 500 people die in the US every year from overdose. Edit, the same as paracetamol, acetaminophen, Ofirmev, Mapap, Feverol, Farbitol. Glade plug-ins. My childhood friend's house burned down because of one of them. Also, a plug-in battery charger burned down a customer's garage. Not getting enough sleep. Coconuts kill 300 times more people a year than sharks, since only 16 attacks occur per year and 1 death every 2 years, while coconuts kill 150 a year from falling from trees. Imagine if of all the ways to die you die from a coconut falling from a tree. That's honestly sad. If you saw a coconut brain someone on the sidewalk and it made a little hollow bop sound, do you think you'd be able to pretend it wasn't funny? This is awful. And hilarious. You'd never unhear it. Breaking up with someone even when there was no domestic violence in their relationship. My daughter was killed by her ex-boyfriend for breaking up with him. There are many men and women killed for this same reason. Not getting regular checkups. I almost died because I had an internal hemorrhage that was slowly killing me. I was so depleted of iron and blood that the nurses thought my vitals were written in wrong because I should have been dead. I needed 3 pints of blood in one sitting. Hippos kill more people than lions do. One that springs to mind for me is flushing your sinuses, i.e. putting water up your nose. If done with straight tap water, brain-eating amoeba can kill you. Excuse me, what? Google neti pot. Even if it seems gross or barbaric, as a person who gets terrible sinus infections, they can work wonders. But you have to do it right, and use sterile water. Edit to add, breathe through your mouth but don't swallow. If it feels like you're about to drown, you're doing it right. For anyone wondering, sterilize it by boiling for 1 to 3 minutes depending on elevation, or use a saline solution. Why do we not get these infections when we shower? We inevitably inhale quite a bit of tap water in a warm shower. I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know, but I've used, basically, a neti pot for allergies, and getting water up into your sinuses is pretty different. You have to squeeze the bottle, pour it up your nose to actually get to, clear your sinuses. I doubt most people are doing that in the shower. There's been cases of people getting brain-eating amoebas from swimming in ponds and getting water up their nose. Not taking antibiotics to kill a sinus infection. Kinda seems obvious, but 13Y me didn't think so, and that's how I ended up almost dead. Roosters are dicks. Make sure you're on their good side. Mine has bitten and scratched me more times than I can count. Cocks are dicks. Water currents. Rip tides in the ocean and eddy currents in streams. We have some river canyons with signs describing all of the ways you can die in the river, and people still die swimming there. Mold. It can be poisonous, make you hallucinate, and eating it can seriously mess with your body. Having unprotected sex. I have a couple friends that are girls that have had sex with over 100 people each, and neither of them make the guys they're sleeping with use condoms or even suggest it. That is horrifying to me. Like playing Russian roulette with your life and future. Wild animals. Most people know that they're dangerous, but they don't think about how dangerous they are. An example of this would be something small like a rat. They carry diseases and can destroy stuff if not taken care of. Fucking with any animal. A squirrel can and will fuck you up. Edit, you furries are fucked. Blowing into an orifice. Butthole, vagina, etc. can cause an air embolism. Excuse me, what? Hashtag they said that blowing into an orifice can cause an air embolism. There goes my Fridays. The ocean, both for swimming, surfing, etc. and for boating. It is 100% not just a big swimming pool or lake. Human beings are in a completely alien environment as soon as they step off the sand or dock, and our perceptions about how things ought to play out no longer matter. The ocean is completely indifferent to human reasoning and even to human mortality. I'm teaching a good friend to sail right now, and he's naively ambitious as far as sailing long distances in a very small boat. I wasn't joking at all when I chided him by saying, "You haven't been scared enough times yet." The reason I'm so conservative in and around the ocean is because I've developed a healthy, totally reasonable fear of it over the course of my life. Anybody who isn't a little afraid of the ocean hasn't spent enough time around it. Source: Tug Captain, lifelong surfer, and lifelong recreational sailor. Please, if you're going out on a boat, make sure you at least have a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher, a working knowledge of how to call for help on a VHF radio, an anchor to stop you from drifting into rocks if the engine fails, and PFDs for everyone. Situations you've never even imagined can arise so quickly on even a short outing. The phrase, "we've always done it this way." Eating raw cashews. What? Cashews can be raw? Explain please? Or are you making a joke? Nope, they are toxic when ingested. All cashews we eat from stores are roasted or steamed first. Low self-esteem. Reddit mods who manipulate information. Crossing train tracks when a train is coming. People do it every day, so clearly don't realize how dangerous it is, until they are hit by the train and are killed. This is one of those things you wouldn't expect on this list, but if people realized how dangerous it actually was, people wouldn't tempt their fate each day to save a few minutes. Thanks for watching our video. If you like it, please smash the subscribe and like button to support the channel, so that we can create more quality content in the future.